Yo, it is your boy Nice versus Wild, and you're listening to another episode of Beowulf Sessions. Thank you for tuning in. Now, a lot of times, these Beowulf Sessions, I literally think of the idea on the week that I'm going to record it. And literally this morning, I was in the shower and the words "be intentional" came into my brain. And I was like, why don't we do an episode on being intentional and also reflect on my journey in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, ever since the Beowulf movement started. Obviously, had my businesses going for much longer than that, and I thought I wasn't being intentional in my execution in terms of what I want to do. And I think it was when I started to be intentional in my actions, I started to get better sort of rewards in my efforts, if that makes any sense. So I wanted to make the session about being intentional, and I wrote that in my diary as my number one point in the last 7 days. And I wrote a bunch of other things as well, which I'll kind of make the rest of the session about that as well, and give you guys a top line cover of what I've been thinking about in the last 7 days. So yeah, before we jump into it, if this is your first time listening, my name is Nigel Sachel. I am a full-time creative entrepreneur from South Auckland. I was born in a rural Fijian village called Lambasa, Bunileka, and my mission in life is to write a story that beats longer than my heart. And also, big love to Feature Weddings for sponsoring every single Beowulf session. If you know anyone that's getting married, or if you're getting married, go check out Feature Weddings. I'll chuck the link in the description on this video, on this podcast, you name it. You'll go find it. Go find it. Feature Weddings. Mad love to you. Yes, didn't mess it up. Let's go. All right, so I wanted to talk about being intentional, and I think there's a lot of strength in this, to be honest, in practicing this on a daily. Because a lot of times, like, let's talk about me being like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, all right? This is like learning stage, trial and error. To be honest, I still feel like sometimes I'm still doing trial and error shit, and I think it's a good thing. But I feel like jumping in my early 20s, I wasn't intentional at all. I was very, self-driven in a way where I had no clue. And it's okay if you're at that age and you don't have any clue, but you're trying things. I think it's a good thing. But I think when you start to be intentional in the information that you're receiving, or the conversations you're doing, and the conversations you're speaking at and reacting, or even the conversations you're being silent at, or the books you're reading intentionally, or the things you're watching on TV intentionally, or the tutorials you might be watching on YouTube intentionally to even upskill yourself, right? We do things intentionally every single day. It can either be a positive or it can be a negative, right? And I think early in my sort of younger years, jumping into my 20s, I wasn't as intentional as I am now. And I think obviously maturity and better conversations and, talking to people that I admire, my mentors and stuff like that. Like, obviously you practice as your experience gets more and more. Like even talking in front of a camera, right? All of that stuff, like being intentional, practicing every day with my phone, stuff like that. Like all of those things play a big part. So whatever journey you're on, as if it's a creative journey, a business journey, an entrepreneur journey, or you're trying to make impact in your communities, I'm a big believer that being intentional is the path to creating long-term consistency, long-term habits that can serve you for the better, for the good. And it's how you are intentional in the way of your life, in your lifestyles, in your decision makings. How intentional are you in knowing your true values? And obviously, this stuff takes time. And I'm a big believer that it's your experiences and having the courage to not only step out of your comfort zones, but also being able to jump into rooms and conversations that make you feel uncomfortable, because that is when growth happens, right? And I think obviously you're a listener and I think we can both relate on that, right? But it's the being intentional that, hey, look, this might not work out the way I think it is, but I'm still going to do it regardless of the outcome that people might think. So let me explain. right? When I was a lot younger, I used to get influenced, right? Like anyone would get influenced. Like if someone tells me something, I'll get influenced. I'll be like, okay, sweet. Yeah, you're right. I never really did any digging or tried to understand something or something like that. I was just like, okay, sweet. You've done this, you've done that. I'll believe you. All right. Now, you know, you're gullible, and obviously I was gullible when I was younger, like anybody. But I think when you realize that, you know, you do have some control on the things that, like, for example, the things you eat, or the stuff you watch, or the things that can create a chain effect in your brain to action something towards a direction, to a career path, to a job, whatever you want to call it, right? But we have to be able to be intentional towards those steps. And I think even when I started the Be a Wolf movement, like, I was so intentional about the things I wanted to talk about, the things I cared about, the impact and the change that I'm trying to create, not only in myself, but also in my communities, and also trying to change the limiting beliefs in my own mind. That's why in the last episode, I was like, has everything I've ever done with the Be a Wolf movement, is it really, just think about it, is it really to convince you or to convince me? I'm just going to leave you with that thought. But be intentional, all right? Be intentional, and really be intentional in a way where you know that the things you do today and the steps you do today, how is that going to impact, say, 3, 4, 5 years from now? And like, I'll give you an example, right? If you go watch me talk 5 years ago compared to now, like, you'll be like, who the heck is that guy? Like, straight up. And I think it's whatever you're trying to really do, right? Like, whatever you're trying to get better at, or whatever you're trying to achieve in this world, or even if you're not trying to achieve anything, you're just trying to be a good person. It's your intent behind the actions that will serve you for the long term. I don't know, be intentional. I wrote that down in my diary as my number one chat, to be honest. And I thought about it in the shower, and I really wanted to talk about it. And I think I'll just like make another full episode around it and the things that kind of served me. But the second point I wrote in my diary this week is stop questioning your purpose. I think this is a good one. I think it goes back to being intentional, right? I think a lot of times we feel like we're losing purpose. And even the last 7 days, I didn't feel like myself. And it's very hard being a creative entrepreneur. A lot of times you feel super lonely, and you feel like, nothing's going to plan. Nothing's going right. You know, like the self-doubt creeps in. And not going to lie, like, you know, most days, most seconds, I'm always questioning my own abilities, my own things, and the things that I'm striving for. And if you've been listening to every episode, you know, I try to unpack it, try to hopefully give you some valuable lessons on the things that I strive to intentionally do. And I think questioning my purpose and my abilities is a big one. So the days that I'm super intentional and actually helps me to realign with my purpose. And that's why I wrote it. I was like, you know, stop questioning your purpose and just remember to stay intentional in your act of movement in whatever journey you're on. And I promise you, it's not even about purpose. You wake up without purpose and you still create action towards your goals, towards your dreams, towards your ambitions, towards the things that serve you well as a person. And I think there's value in that. So stop questioning your purpose. Ain't about that. It's about doing things intentionally without the purpose. And that is where the magic's at. All right. So number 3 bullet point I wrote in my diary this week is stop trying to find acceptance from an empty source. All right. Let's go back to being a younger Nigel here. All right. Like, I used to get influenced, and I used to try find acceptance from my friends, from my communities, from my school, from my literally every environment I was in. I was always trying to fit in, you know, always trying to be like, yo, I'm Nigel, can I be friends? Like, just trying to fit in. And I remember that energy source only lasted a little while before I started to feel shit in myself. And if you feel like this, I promise you, finding acceptance from an empty source is never going to serve you well. It's never going to take you far until you start to accept the weirdness, the things that make you unique, the things that you suck at. And when you start to, you know, really take that all in, That's when you start creating an energy source from within your own heart, soul, magic, creative mind, your thought process. And I think there's a lot of strength in that. So stop trying to find acceptance from an empty source when the only source that you need is yourself. Woo! What a powerful session. Number 4, I wrote, don't start things and don't finish. If you don't start things and don't finish them. I don't know. I think I heard Kevin Hart say this online, to be honest. And I think you might have heard it. But I'm gonna say start things, and if you don't finish it, it's not the end of the story. What I'm going to say is start things and make sure it aligns with your values and the things that you want to do in life. And if you don't finish it, it's not about giving up. It's about pivoting to your core values. And if you do that right enough, it's really, one of the funniest things is I hate when people say like, never quit. And I think, I've left jobs that I hated because I wanted to do something else, because I wanted to go after something that I care about more. And I think when you stay true to your values towards your own why, and obviously that why can change, but understanding that, start things and finish them if it serves you and serves others with greater good. I think to be honest, if you think you're doing the right thing, just go back to love. And I talk about this all the time. If you feel like you're treating somebody wrong or right, is there love? Think about love. And love needs to be the core foundation of anything that creates a sense of happiness within you. I think there's a lot more to unpack there, but just don't feel like you're stuck in that environment. Like, you can start, you can pivot, you can grow. It's about being adaptable, and change is the only thing that's ever constant. And I think when we realize that and accept change, that, hey, look, you might be going after something super ambitious. It looks so unrealistic, but things are going to change along the way. Your vision is going to change, and it's okay for your vision to change because it means that you're growing, you're being uncomfortable, you're putting yourself in environments that can create better visions, and you're starting to be more intentional in the actions that you're doing. Goes back to point 1, right? So yeah, you can start things, and I encourage you to finish it 100%, but if your vision changes, if your why changes, it's okay. Okay? And the last thing I wanted to read today is one of my best mates actually wrote this on his social media, and I copied it, and I was like, I'm gonna give Tony a big shout out on this episode. He wrote something, and I thought it was so good that I kind of did a reverse cycle on me, because I was talking about something like this maybe 4, 5, 6 episodes ago, and I wanted to read it to everybody because I feel like if it resonated with me, and if you've been a Be a Wolf listener pretty much the whole time, I feel like it's going to resonate with you in whatever circumstance, situation you're in. So think about this. All right, this is bullet point number 5 that I wrote in my diary this week. Doubt is removed by action. The only time doubt seeps in is when we know that we're not working hard enough. I kind of want to change the working hard enough to when we know that we're not working towards our highest potential. I don't know. I just feel like the word potential can make a big impact, because like deep down when I'm in the shower, I feel like I have a conversation with myself all the time about my potential. And I think doubt is removed by action. And I think that's very true. And I think when we realize that, when we put ourselves in situations that that sometimes make us uncomfortable, we can create a sense of confidence because we're still doing the actions, and the sense of confidence comes from that action that we do. I think there's strength in that, right? So doubt is removed by action. The only time doubt seeps in is when we know that we're not working hard enough. How could you possibly doubt your vision if you're dedicating all of your being to your craft. How can you possibly doubt your vision if you're dedicating all your energy, all your intentional movement towards your craft? Self-belief and raw action is 95% of the formula. I think that that, to be honest, sounds pretty right to me. Self-belief and raw action is 95% of the formula. If you're aiming for something out of the ordinary, if you're aiming for something unrealistic, it's a good thing. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise. Why are you expecting other people to understand your vision? I think there's a lot of value in this. And there's a reason why you can see your vision and no one else can see it. There's a reason for why you're doing the things intentionally without thinking about it. And I think when we create a sense of confidence in our actions and realize that not everybody in the room is going to understand what you're doing, hey, they're not meant to understand it. They're on their own journey. They're writing their own story. They've got their own visions to worry about. So you just worry about your vision and remember that there'll be times where people close to you, your family, your environment, your community will doubt it and won't understand it. And it's absolutely okay. It's up to you to put in the work and make those actions happen. And don't settle. All right, don't settle thinking that this is all you're worth. Don't let your limiting beliefs stop you from creating the life that you really want. And don't ever settle in your environment when you know that your dreams are always and always will be bigger than your bedroom. Woo! What a session, right? I think we touched on pretty much everything I wrote in my diary this week. It's been a heck of a session. But if I had to do a quick recap, I wanted to talk about, be intentional in the next 7 days, next 7 months, next 7 years. I promise you, your life will change. Stop questioning your purpose. Stop trying to find acceptance from an empty source. You are the only source of energy that can create impact in yourself to move forward towards the actions that make you who you are and bring the best version of yourself. And remember, start things and finish them. I am a big believer. If you're starting something and you make a promise to yourself, finish it. But also remember that your vision and your why can change, which means you have to be able to realize that change is the only constant thing, and you have to be able to adapt to that change exactly how the world's changing, right? And I think you need to be able to be adaptable, because if you ain't, you're not going to have a mindset that creates abundance in your own mind. Doubt is removed by action. So keep being a wolf. Don't ever settle. Keep going. What a banger session. 18 minutes of pure magic. Hopefully lit you up on a Monday. I really, really appreciate your ears. I think we're 61 Mondays deep now. And I've been loving how the episodes are going, to be honest. I just every 7 days I do this on a Monday. I release these episodes, and everything I talk about is super raw. I actually write it within that 7-day window now, because it helps me to self-reflect in my own journey as a creative entrepreneur. And I think it also helps me to, stay in line with my business goals, my creative goals, my community goals. And I think if you can stay consistent in your own way, like it doesn't have to be what I'm doing, but like create your own sort of environment and ecosystem that can make you thrive. I think you're going to be able to, do the things that you really want to do in this world and create the environment and the joy in yourself and the fulfillment that you want to create. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this week's session. If you've been loving it, go chuck us a review, chuck me a message. Honestly, it means the world. And I will see you next Monday. Keep being you, keep being a wolf, keep being a wolf. I can't believe I almost messed up my own be a wolf line. All right, keep being a wolf. I think I got a sore throat, eh? Keep being a wolf. Keep being a wolf. Man, okay, stop recording, Nasa. Honestly, keep being you. Keep being a wolf. Let's go. Ooh, trying to do a howl there. Oh man, 19 minutes in. What a heck of a session. Got a sore leg. Oh, yeah. Also, I'm running 22Ks on Sunday. Good luck to me. I'm going to try get under 2 hours. And if I fail, yeah, it's not about the outcome. It's about trying. Keep being a wolf. Keep going. Let's go. Why isn't wolf coming out properly? I don't know. All right. Peace and love. See you later. Bye.